Hello everyone and welcome to Shastrarth, the Open India Quiz conducted by Quiz Club IIT Patna under the association of HOSCA, House of Social Cultural Affairs, under the Ek Bharat Shresh Bharat program of the Government of India in 76 Independence Day. So the quiz masters for today are Kirtan Jain, that's me, Prakash Shukla and Sachin Singh. So we'll begin with the quiz now. So rules, pretty straightforward rules. There are 30 questions in the quiz. Questions that are multiples of 5, that is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 will carry double points each. Well, that is 20 points. And each of the remaining questions will carry 10 points. And if there are multiple parts, we'll split them equally. Like if you're asked X and Y, you'll have 5 points for the normal questions. We'll have a short rerun at the end so that you can check your question answers and their numbers, they mark correctly. Write all your answers in the Google form. The Google form will be provided to you. The link will be in the description of this video as well on the WhatsApp group. And please do not write any answers in the YouTube chat or elsewhere. Let's keep it a fair quiz. And of course, need not to say, but do not Google. Maintain the integrity of this quiz, right? So happy quizzing. Let's begin with the first question. So the first question, X, literally meaning the wildflower, was the pen name of a major literary figure in 20th century Bengali literature. He was born in Pune in Bihar and got his medical degree from Patna University. He wrote more than 40 novels, a vast number of short stories, and several plays and poems. Written in 1961, Y, In and Around the Dash, tells the story of an idealistic doctor who decides to spend his retirement healing the poor in a small town in Bihar. So it was converted into one of the most successful Bengali art films of the 1960s of the same name as Y and directed by a legendary director. So IDX and Y. Y is also a train in the Sialda division, Bihar, the Eastern Railways. So you can focus on all the bold parts for the hints, right? So they're definitely there so that you can arrive at the answer. And you'd have heard of the film, and the legendary director in the 1960s should help you narrow it down to a few people, right? So let's wait for some time. Moving on, question number two. So in 2012, the show X first aired on the Star Network along with DD National on weekends. So this show X also marked the television debut of a very famous Bollywood personality. So the show was revolutionary for focusing on very sensitive social issues such as female feticide, child sexual abuse, rape, domestic violence, and acceptance of different sexualities, criminalization of politics. So this show was simulcast in many different regional languages to ensure that there is a maximum reach and a larger audience can view it. So the show was also very famous for the songs that were played in the closing credits of the show. And its title song was also, praised by the masses for being inspired from a slogan from Hindu scripture. So very famous slogan, very famous show. Definitely all of us would have seen or heard about it, right? So again, you can focus on the bold parts for your answer, for having hints at the answer. So it aired on weekends. The timeline has been given. Right, so I think we can move on now. Yeah. So question number three. So the X monument was declared a national monument in 2022 along with the completion of a monument for tribal freedom struggle. So it is said that when the British and Indian troops attacked the stronghold of this tribal social and religious reformer at the hills of X in Rajasthan, almost 1500 Bheels died. So at the time, very little note was made of it because the victims were, tribesmen, and details of this atrocity only appeared in the local and regional documents. However, as with time the Indian nationalism grew, so did interest in past injustices by the British, especially why that occurred more than a half decade later. So as a result, X was often referred to as the Adivasi Y in reference to the better known one. So I'll give you a clear idea. So X occurred and almost half a decade later Y happened. And Y was one of the biggest injustices by the British in Indian history. So you have to ID X and Y. So as X occurred in tribal regions, X was called the Adivasi Y. So you need to give me X, where X happened, and Y, which is very, very popular. Right, moving on to the next question. So this is the cave temple located near Ahmednagar, Maharashtra and dedicated to Lord Shiva. So the cave has water throughout the year and one has to wade through it to worship the deity. There used to be four pillars, but as you can see in the image probably, three are broken and only one remains on which the cave is standing. So what do these pillars represent? Seen very commonly in Hindu mythology. Simplest question I would say. Three are broken and only one remains on which the cave stands. Easy enough. I'll wait for 10 seconds. Moving on. Next question. Question number 5. So ID the person shown in the image and the post he holds. Right. So he'll only be the second person holding this post to complete 5 or more years in office after having received 3 1 year extensions. And one of the extensions happened very recently and he was in the news too. So you might have seen him. Correct. Moving on. Question number 6. So X is an annual festival. Also 5 is star marked. X is an annual festival celebrated in the later half of the year in Nagaland and is also known as the Festival of Festivals. This week long celebration showcases the diverse traditions, customs, and heritage of the Naga tribes. So, named after the colorful X that is highly prominent in Naga folklore and symbolizes good fortune and prosperity, the event features a mesmerizing display of traditional dances, music performances, folk songs, games, and art and craft exhibitions showcasing the exquisite craftsmanship of the Naga people. So this festival has become an important platform for cultural exchange and it attracts a lot of tourists from all over India as well as from other countries and has thus become a tourism brand of Nagaland that this festival occurs. Right? So you just have to ID X. What is the festival's name? Simple question. Right, moving on. Question number 7. So, X, that is two words, was a blog and discussion forum initially conceived by a group of mostly second generation Indian American students and young professionals in 2004. So at its peak, the forum had about 50 lakh users before a benign shutdown. So the title is a pun on one of the biggest movements in Indian history and also a reference to the skin tone of the people the forum was intended for. So you have to ID X. So first I'd like you to think out what could be the possible biggest movements in Indian history that we're talking about, right? So once you figure that out, think about how you can, somehow make a pun on it, change some letters, and get it to, have a skin tone in its name. So it's a two-word answer that I'm looking for. So I think the last line is more than enough for you to arrive at the answer if you give it a little bit of thought. I'll wait for some time. So I can think this over. Right, so moving on, question number 8. So X, one of the great Indian business stories, has a history enveloped in national resistance. So launched in 1929 in Kolkata by an affluent Bengali merchant to compete with its imported counterparts, X quickly gained widespread popularity as a national icon of economic Atmanirbharta in a nation that was still resisting the British rule, obviously, as it is pre independence. So, a simple formulation containing soothing components, essential oils, and paraffin. X has not even changed one bit over time. So, its iconic jingle, a constant across radio stations and televisions across Bengal at the time, it was composed by prominent musicians of that time, right? So, reaching even the most remote and backward region of the country, where it is sometimes called the Hathiwala Dash, reduction. X has transcended generations to remain among the most dependable brands among its peers. So, IDX. So, a simple formulation containing soothing components, essential oils, and paraffin. The iconic jingle and the rest of the bolded parts, obviously. Simple question. Moving on. Question number 9. So, this match from the 2019 Cricket World Cup was one of the best of the tournament. Nearly a huge upset, India was rescued from defeat after posting an under par total in the first innings by the brilliant efforts of their bowlers, and it was memorably capped off by a hat trick from Mohammad Shami. However, this match was historic for another reason as well. This was the first time this has happened in the history of Indian cricket. So, what was the reason? So, I'll show you an image of the scorecard, right? So, the scorecard has the entire answer. You just need to look at it very carefully, make some observations, and I think you can arrive at the answer. So, what was this that had happened for the first time in Indian history, Indian cricket history? So, look at all the players, the scorecard. So, we see first inning scorecard. I'll go back. So, you just have to give me the reason why this was the first time this happened, or what is it that we are talking about here. Right, moving on. Question number 10. 10 is a star mark question. Please note, it'll carry double points. In the 2018 movie Kedarnath, the character played by Sara Ali Khan is forcibly married to another character played by Nishan Daya, even though she hates him. So both these characters are named after geographical entities, such that it also metaphorically alludes to the storyline of the film. So I want you to put Funda here. So if you've seen the movie, you would know that both of them are named after geographical entities. The movie's name is Kedarnath, and it somehow all ties up that she's forcibly married even though she hates him. So this somehow alludes to the storyline of the film. So put Funda here. Right. Moving on. Question number 11. X is an Indian online food delivery company and a nationwide chain of food outlets that was incorporated in the early decades of 2010s, early years of 2010s. So X launched its mobile app in 2014, and since then the company has been catering to the customers of India as food on demand service. So X's name was taken from a country Y. Y is a two-word country, which means land of incorruptible people. So the exploitation of Y by France was exposed later last year by the then recently elected Prime Minister of a major European nation. So, if you follow world politics, you would have definitely know which country Y is, and once you know Y, X is pretty obvious. So just give me X. Pretty easy question. I'll stay long on this one. 5 seconds. Moving on. Question number 12. The NHSRCL, National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited, was incorporated in 2016 to manage the high speed rail corridor in India. So it is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Indian Railways. So the logo of the NHRCCL, that is what the question is based around. It features the outline of an animal on a locomotive engine. That is very, very apt for the company. So what animal? And I'll show you the logo in a minute. So the dots connected with the train at the top of the logo, these dots that you can see on the top of the logo. So these symbolize something that is unlike any other high-speed rail service across the world, right? So you have to give me what these dots are symbolizing and what animal, that has for obvious reasons been blanked out here. What animal is it that is very fitting for what they do? Very apt. Right? So two parts. Okay. I'll show the image and move on. 5 seconds. Moving on. Question number 13. X and Y are renowned personalities from Indian cinema. Together, they have starred in many blockbusters like Tum Hasi Main Jawan, Raj Tilak, and many more. So they got married in 1979 at a mere of rupees 111,000 in the presence of two legal witnesses. So X changed his religion to marry Y due to a clause in the Hindu Marriage Act and converted to Islam. They also renamed themselves as Dilavar Khan Keval Krish and Ash B.R. Chakravarti respectively. So the two never discussed this conversation in the media, and the secret was officially disclosed only when X contested the elections on behalf of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So ID X and Y, who are we talking about here? And why did X change his religion? So we'll give 2.5, 2.5 each for X and Y, and 5 points for Y X changed his religion. So you can focus on the bolded parts for hence towards the answer. I think figure out X and Y should be fairly simple over here. And if you think about it, you can get to the second part. Right. 5 seconds. Moving on. Question number 14. In the 1930s, Digambar, a Mumbai businessman, about an year into a partnership with his brother Govind, was in a tough spot. So, considering closure because he was unable to compete with the cheaper imports, he relented as there were people who still believed in the quality of their as of yet unbranded products. So, he was in desperate need of a catchy name for their company when he stumbled upon a cigarette ad while taking a tea break. So the ad said, I would walk a mile for a slash and X. And Digambar instantly knew that he had it, what he was looking for. So the faithful X that endures hazardous weather and harsh terrain, all while being an unrelenting, enduring support for its master, was the perfect metaphor for what he wanted his product to be for every Indian child. To be reliable, to be enduring. Right? So the brand was a very big success and has played an important role in the early life of every Indian since. It would have affected each one of us, right? So in the 80s, this brand underwent a rebranding and X was renamed as Y and was later taken over by a Japanese company Z in May 2012. So X and Y are pretty similar, so you would know Y as soon as you get to X. And Z was a Japanese company that took over Y. So you have to give me Y and Z for equal points. So think about what it could be that every Indian child is using that is reliable and what brand. Walk a mile for a slash and dash. Simple enough. Very figure outable stuff, I would say. 5 seconds. Okay, question number 15. 15 is a star mark question. This will carry double points. So the question goes there. The details of an alleged ancient military drill are listed below. Right. So to prevent chariots from toppling over while making sharp turns in closed infantry positions, they arrange themselves in a certain formation. This formation was such that in the eventuality of an enemy breach, it always allowed some of the chariots to chase the enemy without turning, even if the enemy made sharp turns themselves. It also meant that if a chariot did need to turn, it would have to go around the entire battery of chariots, and this wider arc reduced the chance of it toppling over. So, I want you to think about what is being said here. Maybe imagine it once in your head that what is happening exactly over here, and then give me the answer that what is this drill, what the whole paragraph was about, is considered to be an origin of something that all Indians would know. Right? So just think about what has been written, visualize it and once, and you should have the answer. To chase the enemy without turning, go around the entire battery of chariots. Now wait for 20 seconds. Right, moving on. Question number 16. So, X Express is a train that runs from Bihar to New Delhi. So, X means living by labor, and it is a reference to the laborers who migrate from Bihar in search of jobs to the national capital. So, IDX, very simple question. I think all the locals here would definitely know what you're talking about, right? So, even if not, it's very figure. Living by labor, and the train is meant exactly for the laborers who migrate from Bihar. So it is named after the same thing, right? Pretty straightforward. I won't wait much on this one. 5 more seconds. Question number 17. So this wall that is shown to you in the image is named after a milkmaid who, after closure of the fort gates, climbed down the steep hillside at night to reach her baby. So the then ruler praised her bravery because the ruler of the fort praised her bravery and immediately ordered for the construction of a wall at the unprotected vertical drop and named it after her. So this was in so ID what was the name of this wall obviously, and there was a movie made on this thing about 4 to 5 years ago. So just give me the name of the wall. The movie also has the same name. Right? So moving on, question number 18. So, X is a restaurant in Goa opened by an extremely popular contestant Y on MasterChef Australia, where she appeared twice, once finishing ninth and then finishing second. So, she is famous in both Australia and India and is known for her TV shows in both places as well as a passion for Indian food. So the name X is also the name of a star that derives its name from the ancient Greek for opponent to Mars due to the similarity of its reddish hue to the appearance of the planet Mars. So ID X and Y. X is the name of the restaurant and Y is whom it was opened by, who was a very popular contestant on MasterChef Australia, known for her passion for Indian food. Very famous contestant. And for X, you can use the second part. It literally gives you the answer. Opponent to Mars, ancient Greek. For that, straightforward questions. Moving on, question number 19. So, X that were highly sought after for their medicinal properties before the advent of modern medicine are only found in nature in the mountainous regions of the Caucasus and the Zagros bordering western Iran. So, due to their medicinal value and rarity, they were extremely hard to get, if at all. Right? So, remember, this is before modern medicine and everything happened. This was a long time back, right? So, that is until an artificial X was created in India, or more specifically in Goa. So, as the story goes, this artificial X was invented by a Jesuit called Gaspar Antonio. So it was claimed to contain exotic ingredients, but its actual composition was kept a well guarded secret. So, prepared in Goan pharmacies, the Jesuits firmly believed that their formulation had miraculous qualities like the original one. Whether it actually did so is, highly disputed. No one knows. And as medicine evolved, as we have modern medicine, X lost its value and has gone extinct now. Right. So IDX, whose history and earlier use gained a resurgence in popularity among the general populace when it saved a life after being shoved down the throat. So this was all in the past, but due to something, it gained a resurgence in popularity after it saved a life. So what is X? What we're talking about here? Moving on, question number 20. Please remember 20 is star mark, meaning there are double points for this question. So X, also known as Nima, is a captivating shamanistic dance form deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of Hindus residing in the regions of Karnataka and Kerala. Right? So the dance itself is marked by its highly stylized and graceful movements, evoking a sense of spiritual connection with the divine. So this ancient tradition has passed down through generations, and its preservation showcases the profound cultural heritage and enduring spiritual beliefs of the people in these regions. So, X got highlighted in the media due to a certain event in the later months of 2022, and as a result of this event, the government of Karnataka introduced a monthly allowance for performers of X who are over 60 years of age. So, IDX, the whole dance form that we were talking about, and the event which occurred later last year. Focus on the bolded parts for hints. 10 seconds. Moving on. Question number 21. So the literal translation of X in English is uninterrupted. Covered in paintings, inspired by the paintings of the cabinet member Y, overseeing the associate sector, the X was first of its kind, my bad, and broke a 150-year long tradition. The paintings are dominated by the color dash, which was Y's favorite color and can be seen in the logo of the party they were and are a part of. So IDX, that is what we are talking about, and Y, which is a cabinet member. You know, the color is very generally associated with that party. 5 seconds. Moving on. The X region is a vast forested area in central India covering parts of 5 states including Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Maharashtra, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. So, this region has been shrouded in mystery for centuries and has been a subject of interest for historians, anthropologists, and archaeologists alike. So, during the British colonial period, X came to be known as the Black Hole of India due to the large number of tribal uprisings that occurred in this region. And a critically acclaimed 2017 feature film was set in X. So it has been shrouded in mystery for centuries and it has been a subject of interest for historians. So that can be a hint. And critically acclaimed film, I think everyone can get there. I'll wait for 15 seconds. Moving on, question number 23. So I don't think I need to say anything here. Just put funda. So this is some table taken from some page. Right. So the table is depicting stuff, comparison, or something like that. So there were total number of wooden pieces used. It was 832, 763, 593. Its height, length and breadth, colors of the canopies. Let's think about what can we be talking about. Very popular. Everyone knows what it is. Just work with the names that you have and the size and just think about what it could be. Colors as well. 10 more seconds. Moving on. Question number 24. So there are many theories as to how X got its name. So one of them attributes it to the anglicization of the region it is located in. Another suggests it is derived from the scientific name of one of the most iconic species of the area, the lion-tailed macaque. The most popular one, however, says that it was named so because there was a lack of the cicadas typically found in such places. So IDX given you the possible origins of its names, multiple such theories. So it should be fairly simple to narrow down X. There's a lack of cicadas that are typically found in such places. What are those places and what does a lack of that represent? Simple question. 15 seconds. Moving on. Question number 25. Please note that question number 25 is star marked and carry double points. So, in the recently concluded season of Masters of Australia, one of the mystery boxes consisted of the red and sour flower of fruit, you could call it, of X, a plant belonging to the hibiscus family, and that is very widely used in cuisines all across the world. Right? So, it is used variedly in India too, where generally it might be used to make a chutney in the northern states like Bihar, Jharkhand, and Gujarat. While in Andhra, the leaves of the same plant are used extensively and called vai. Like the leaves are known as vai, and it is used to make vai bhat or vai pachdi by mixing the fried leaves with spices and curd. So it is one of the most famous dish of Andhra and Telangana, and some people often call it the king of all Andhra foods. And the vai bhat is also a very popular dish at Rameshwaram Cafe in Bangalore, if you've been there. Right? So IDX and Y. Moving on, question number 26. So this 1970s movie X is a cinematic masterpiece of India. Directed by the renowned filmmaker Shyam Benegal, it was inspired by the pioneering milk cooperative movement and set amidst the backdrop of the White Revolution of India. So X portrayed the everyday life of farmers on the big screen, for the first time, and it demonstrated the power of collective might by involving 5 lakh farmers for something which makes the movie first of its kind in India. And it went on to win multiple accolades, right? So first you have to ID which movie we are talking about here, right? And what is the funda that why was it the first of its kind and how did it use this collective might? Right. So two things here. It was set up as the backdrop of the white revolution of India. Cool. Moving on. Question number 27. So the story of how the fruit X got its name in India is a very interesting one. So this fruit is not originally indigenous to India and was first brought to South Asia by the Portuguese from a Southeast African nation. Why? Right. So the Indians named this fruit after the country it was imported from, but then they failed to pronounce it correctly, the common, right? So it led to its name by being dumbed down over the years to a more tongue-friendly X. So ID the fruit X, that is a very popular fruit chosen by juice lovers across the country, and the place Y from where it was originally brought here. So X is a fruit, Y is the Southeast African nation from where the Portuguese brought it. Right? Straightforward question. Both of them are kind of sound similar because it is over the all derived from the same thing. So 15 seconds. Right, moving on. Question number 28. So, composed by X and recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra, Y is one of the most iconic soundtracks of X's legendary career. Aptly named so because it was played in a double edged scene that sealed the fate of a child as he lost his liberator and father figure and set the tone of his journey of loss, which consumed and destroyed everything in its path. So, what is the soundtrack? So, if you don't know the name, you can just describe the scene it was played in and what is the India connect in this soundtrack. Right? We're asking for two things here. I'll give time for you to go with this. I think the first paragraph will be very obvious to people as to what the scene is. So just think about what the India Connect is. 10 seconds. Moving on. Question number 29. The X community that is prominently found in Bihar lives in acute poverty and social stigma. So, according to a local legend, Lord Brahma created man and gave him the horse to ride. So, the first X decided to dig holes in the belly of the horse to fix his feet as he rode, which offended Lord Brahma, who cursed him and his descendants to be catchers of an animal, which is what X literally translates to. X translates to catchers of some animal, right? So during the rice harvesting season here in Bihar, members of this community trap these animals from the fields as they might harm the crops. And these animals also form a staple diet for them during this time. And for the rest of the year, their food consists of fish, snails, and cockroaches. So, ID, what community am I talking about here? 10 seconds. Moving on, question number 30. This is the last question of the quiz. We'll have a short reason, and this is star mark 2, so double points. So, X is a very common word in South Asia, and it is surprisingly an English word created and used by Indians, very commonly used. It just feels right because it uses the opposite prefix to the one used at the beginning of the antonym of X, which is indeed a word from traditional English, to create a useful word, especially for those who are involved in a lot of meetings on a regular basis. So, its first documented use in the modern sense of the word was in 1913 by John D. Trenner when he said, for the benefit mainly of the legal profession in this age of hurry and bustle, may I be permitted to coin the word X as a needed rival of that much revered and oft invoked standby dash. So, however, it only gained widespread usage in India, and the foreign world still, very surprisingly, is unaware of X. So, what is this word? Right. So, I'll do a short rerun. I'll just stop by at every question so that you can fix your question numbers and make some wild guesses, right? And then you'll have exactly 1 minute to submit your G forms. So, going back to question number one, right? So, question number one, I asked you about what was this, who was this writer whose pen name literally meant the wildflower, and what was this film or the story that he wrote. Yeah. Question number two, th- this show that aired on DD National focused on social issues, very famous title song from the Hindu scriptures. Give me the show. Question number three, the monument in tribal freedom struggle, right? And a very famous event that occurred later. X was Christian, the Adivasi dash. So give me X and Y. Question number four, very simple question. What putting funda here? What do the pillars represent? Three are broken, one remains. Question number five, very simple. ID the person shown in the image and the post he holds for equal points. He'll be the only second person holding this post to complete 5 more years in office after having received 3 years extensions, one of which was in news recently. Moving on. Question number six. X is an annual festival in Nagaland named after something colorful, and it has a lot of cultural exchange and attracts tourism. Moving on. Question number seven. Two-word answer. Pun on one of the biggest moments in Indian history. So the pun is referring to the skin tone of the people that are using it, right? Indian Americans, that is. Moving on. Question number eight. One of the great Indian business stories. Simple formulation containing soothing components, essential oils and paraffin. Iconic jingle, right? So you have to ID that. Question number nine. So you're shown a scorecard of the India versus Afghanistan match in the 2019 World Cup. So what first in Indian cricket history is happening over here? The answer lies entirely in the scorecard. Right. So star mark question. Question 10, double points. Kedarnath. The characters are named after geographical entities. So how does that metaphorically allude to the storyline of the film? So you just have to put funda over here. Question number 11. X is an online food delivery company, and the name was taken from the second word of a country. Okay. which was being exploited by France as per the Prime Minister of a major European nation. Question number 12. So you're shown the logo of NSSRCL, the National High Speed Rail Corporation Limited. So you have to tell what the animal is, on that has been blanked out, and what the dots represent. That is unlike any other high speed rail service across the world. Two parts. Question number 13. Renowned personalities from Indian cinema, X and Y. The movies are given. You have a timeline to work with. And why did X change his religion? And X and Y. X and Y for 2.5 and 2.5. And the reason he changed his religion for 5 points. Right? And X has also contested the elections. That is a very big hint if you don't know. Question number 14. Uh, every Indian child has used this. Underwent a rebrand in the 80s. Similar name. It was taken over by a Japanese company. Give me the renamed and the Japanese company. Every one of us has seen this definitely. Right? Question number 15. So you're supposed to visualize whatever is given in the paragraph and something very popular, something every one of us has seen, right? To chase the enemy without turning. Simple. Think of it. And wait 10 seconds. Moving on. Question number 16. Train that runs from Bihar to New Delhi. Labor. Question number 17. A wall that was named after a milkmaid who climbed down the steep hillside. Question number 18. Restaurant in Goa. Very famous contestant on Masters of Australia, known for passion for Indian food is Y. And X is the restaurant. That is also the name of a star, opponent to Mars. Question number 19. You can see. Very popular among the general populace across the world when it saved a life after being shoved down the road. Again, we will not know this. Question number 20. Stama, double points. So X is a dance form, and the event due to which X got highlighted in the media. Very much everyone got to know about this. Spiritual connection with the divine. 21. The lit. You can see the question. 22. This is just a region, vast forested area. 23. You just have to put funda. You're given a table from that is taken from a page. 24. 25. You have to answer X and Y. Y is very popular in India, especially in Telangana. X is the English name. Okay. 26. X, a 1970s movie, and you have to put funda on what the collective might represented over here. 27. X is a fruit, Y is a southeast African nation from where it came. Both sound pretty similar. 28. Composed by X. 29. What community is X? Catches or some animal. 30. 30 is a very common word in India or in South Asia, but surprisingly no one in foreign uses it or they're unaware of it. Right? So you will have exactly 1 minute to submit your answers. After that, we'll be closing the G form. 30 seconds. 10 seconds. Please submit now. Okay, I think that's it. We'll be closing the form now. I thank you all for attending the quiz, and please let us know in the feedback how you found the set. The results will be released shortly over the WhatsApp group once we have done with the checking and remove any other possible errors. Right. So, and stay tuned for the answer discussion. It will be